So, what if you had a childhood trauma so deep that you started viewing every girl in your school as a literal gray stone? You spend 5 years being the cool, mysterious guy who never looks at anyone, only because you genuinely think you're surrounded by boulders. But then, one random day, a girl hands you your phone and the magic breaks. She's not a rock, she's the most beautiful person you've ever seen. You panic, tell her she's pretty, and run away like your life depends on it. As far as that seems like a total fever dream, that's the story of the manhwa I have for you today. The story begins with a look into the life of Park Jin-Yong, a high schooler with a very specific, unchanging belief. He must view all girls as stones. This peculiar mindset was born out of deep trauma from his elementary school days, where he suffered through 20 different rejections, leaving his confidence in tatters. During that time, Jin-Yong turned to an imaginary friend named Jason for guidance. Jason, who has evolved in Jin-Yong's mind from a cute kid into a buff, mustachioed man, gave him 2 life-altering rules. Treat all women like stones. If they're just rocks, you don't have to have feelings for them, making them much easier to talk to. Don't spin happy fantasies. Just because a girl is nice or asks for help studying, never delude yourself into thinking she likes you. For 5 years, this mind control has worked perfectly. Jin-Yong literally sees the girls at his school as gray, anthropomorphic boulders, allowing him to stay detached and avoid being labeled a creep or loser. However, his world is turned upside down when a girl approaches him to return his dropped phone. For the first time in half a decade, Jin-Yong doesn't see a stone, he sees a stunningly beautiful girl. In his state of shock and panic, he accidentally blurts out, "You're really pretty," before snatching his phone and sprinting away in a fit of embarrassment. Now, Jin-Yong is back home, spiraling into a panic while his imaginary friend Jason tries to keep him grounded. He's terrified that his outburst will spark weird rumors, and that he's destined to repeat the humiliating rejections of his past. Jason tells him to stop losing his mind and start thinking of a plan to fix the mess he's made. Feeling cornered, Park Jin-Yong decides his only strategy is total avoidance. Jason agrees, pointing out that since they're in different classes, he just needs to stay out of her line of sight. But the plan fails immediately. He runs into her in the hallway the very next day. The girl, who we learn is named Sunwoo, is flanked by stone girls and playfully teases him, asking if she looks pretty today too. Panicking and fearing she's making fun of him, Jin-Yong chooses to bolt, sprinting away while Jason gives him a smart move for escaping. He spends the rest of the day in a high-stakes game of hide-and-seek, ducking behind corners and covering his face every time he spots her radiant, non-stone appearance in the crowd. Exhausted from a day of dodging, he finally heads home, thinking he's made it through safely. Just as he's lamenting his situation to Jason on the sidewalk, a dark shadow falls over him. Sunwoo has caught up to him outside of school, looking far from happy. She looms over him with a terrifyingly intense expression. Desperate to explain his weird behavior, Jin-Yong blurts out the absolute truth. "All other girls look like stones to me except for you." The silence that follows is deafening. Jin-Yong immediately realizes how insane that sounds, but Sunwoo's reaction is unexpected. She leans in close, her face inches from his, and tells him with a sly smirk, "What you just did was flirting." As she walks away, Jin-Yong is left clutching his chest, his heart racing. Jason's 2 golden rules, treating girls like stones and avoiding happy fantasies, have both officially been shattered. Jason breaks down the harsh reality. Because Jin-Yong spent 5 years viewing girls as stones, he has 0 immunity to a real girl's face. His psychological defense mechanism has backfired, leaving him completely vulnerable now that a girl has appeared who breaks through his mental filter. To combat this, Jason proposes the desensitization plan. The goal isn't to avoid her, but to maintain his composure in her presence until he gets used to her face. Following Jason's advice to try smiling to look more natural, Jin-Yong forces a grin that looks more like a terrifying, psychotic grimace. From a distance, Sunwoo and her friends see him staring and smiling, which they find incredibly creepy and unsettling. Sunwoo's friend, Soo-young, fills her in on Jin-Yong's reputation. He's actually quite popular because he seems totally uninterested in dating, giving off a cool and mysterious vibe. Sunwoo realizes that the cool guy, who supposedly doesn't care about girls, is the same one who was just staring intensely at her and told her she was pretty the day before. She starts becoming deeply intrigued, admitting that something about Jin-Yong is starting to bother her, but with a mischievous glint in her eyes. Meanwhile, Jin-Yong is left to realize that his attempts to follow Jason's rules have failed spectacularly, as he's already deep into the happy fantasies he was supposed to avoid. Jin-Yong realizes that following Sunwoo around at school is a one-way ticket to being labeled a stalker. Looking for a less creepy way to desensitize himself, he decides to stare at her photos online instead. The only problem? He doesn't have social media. Under Jason's harsh encouragement, he creates a brand new Instagram account and works up the courage to ask Sunwoo for her ID directly in the hallway. Surprisingly, she agrees, but as soon as she sees his profile, she bursts into uncontrollable laughter. Since his account is completely blank with 0 followers, she quickly pieced together the truth. He made the account specifically just to find her. "I'm the first person you looked for after making your account?" she asks, teasing him with a grin. Jin-Young is mortified as his inner loser comes crawling out, realizing he's just accidentally confessed how obsessed he is. Sunwoo finds his reaction hilarious and playfully pokes him, returning his phone after entering her ID. She tells him to make sure he likes a lot of her posts before walking away. That night, Jin-Young is still reeling from the embarrassment, but he can't stop himself from playing back the film of their interaction and imagining a whole future together. That night, Jin-Young is trying to sleep, only to get a notification that Jung Sunwoo liked your photo. He bolts upright in bed. His plan for composure has officially failed, and the happy fantasies are in full swing. The next morning, Jin-Young is still glued to Sunwoo's Instagram. Jason pushes him to find the root cause of why his mental filter only fails for her, but their brainstorming is cut short when Jin-Young spots Sunwoo herself waiting near the school gate. She claims she can't walk home because of chronic anemia and lacks the bus fare, even though her apartment is literally across the street. When Jin-Young offers up his last bit of cash, she laughs and suggests a different solution. "Just walk me home, Jin-Young." As they walk, Sunwoo talks non-stop. But Jin-Young is so overwhelmed by the proximity of a non-stone girl that he can't process a single word she's saying. He's completely frozen by the uncomfortable reality of actually being on a walk with a girl. Meanwhile, back at school, Sunwoo's friend Soo-Young is skeptical of the rumors that Jin-Young is totally uninterested in girls. To test his cool guy persona, she waits for him in the hallway and stages a dramatic accidental fall, acting all cute and helpless to see if he'll help her up. Jin-Young, seeing only a stone in a yellow hoodie, doesn't hesitate, but not in the way she expected. He grabs her by the back of her hoodie and hauls her up like he was pulling up a radish, leaving her dangling and completely stunned by his utter lack of chivalry. Sunwoo, watching from the sidelines, can't stop laughing, realizing that Soo-Young was right. Jin-Young really does treat every other girl like a piece of rock. Jin-Young is back in his room, spiraling as he dives deeper into the root cause of his condition with a now shirtless Jason. He reveals a painful memory. As a child, he used to walk home every day with a girl named Kim Minji. He naturally developed feelings for her, but when their classmates began teasing them and asking if they were dating, Minji reacted with total disgust, shouting, "Who would date someone like him?" That day, she stopped walking with him, and his heart was crushed before he could even confess. The next day begins with a tense encounter at home. Jin-Young tries to leave without breakfast to avoid his father, but his dad insists he eat the kimchi jjigae his mother made. The interaction is stiff and awkward, confirming Jin-Young's earlier comment about their strained relationship. As he heads to school, he worries that he's doomed to be at Sunwoo's mercy if Jason's theory is right. His worries take a physical turn when Soo-Young confronts him in the hallway. She's still fuming over the humiliation of being hauled up like a radish and demands to hit him with 3 low kicks as payback. When Jin-Young naturally asks, "Wait, who are you?" Since she's just another stone to him, she loses it. She launches a kick, calling him a 4-eyed jerk, and a high-speed chase ensues.